Okay. Let's get some microphone action. What? We even have pork chop in the house. Pork chop. All right. So let me do this. Let me say hello. E-Meg. Let's see. I'll be moderating the chat. Hello, chat moderator. E-Meg in the house. All right. Mark. Crypto Migos. What's up? John. Stephanie. Barbara. Perennial sales, which is a lot of them. They just keep coming because they're perennial. Stephanie. John. Crypto Coin Growth. What up? I like that avatar there. We're going to be launching those. We're just waiting to see what is the best way. Amy. Audrey. Oh, and me. Tower BJJ. What up? Ram. Cruising. What's going on? Marcel. Steve. Malcolm. E-Meg. Brett. Trying to get through everyone. Brian. Spice Cookbook. Jerry. Talents. Whew. Pretty good. I mean, I didn't get through everybody. Listen, you have both chats. So you have the chat right here, this is all private. This is never going to be made public. It's just for you guys. You guys can go back to it. You guys can spin it up whenever you want, but it won't be for anyone else. But if you have a comment that you want me to throw on screen, if you have a question, something like that, if you put it in this chat right here I can throw it on screen, right? Or if you have a salutation, like discrete services, discrete, man, that sounds like some cool, sketchy stuff. HJ, Frank, Hennek. So yeah, anything like that. Also, we have a little bit more discretion and a little bit more dexterity in here. So I can bang away. I can research stuff, throw it on screen pretty easily. This is StreamYard. It's a pretty good platform. It's very easy to do a lot of stuff. You can aggregate lots and lots and lots of data. That's cool. Philip, what's up? I like the little heavyweight thing. If you're in the regular heavyweights chat, if you're catching this and you're in the I can still see that. It's underneath the other one, but this is the main one. This is the big one. I have a big screen and I have the own chat. Then the other thing I can do, it's kind of cool. Two Braids, what's going on? I have a lot of stuff on my computer that I can throw up here that's kind of easy. Anyway, so this is this. Let me see. Linda, hello. Philip, JD. All right, cool. So let's do this. Let's go ahead and get started. We're going to look, today is going to be portfolio construction. I've had over the weekend, a lot of portfolio construction questions, cues, things like that. Amy, Roy, what up? And hey, if you guys like these shows better than, for instance, you like the Wednesday show better than the Monday show and the Friday, whatever, which ones you like, put a like on it. And if you want to see more specific stuff, put a comment because it's going to keep all the comments and say, hey, look, can we focus on this? Can we focus on that? And then it's going to make the content better for you guys. Know what I'm saying? All right, cool. Great. Okay. Andy, what's going on? Steven. Okay, sent Bitcoin from Coinbase to FTX, but it didn't show up in FTX. Well, it is probably there. If you send it to Ledger, sometimes it won't post until the business day. For instance, they don't close out positions. And if you bought Bitcoin at Ledger, no matter when you bought it, you're not going to have it credited to your account until 4 p.m. Eastern time because they have fixings and closings and all that kind of stuff. Cool. All right. I hope everyone had a good weekend. Let's go through prices first. Let's take a look. I'm going to roll our little opening. And then after we get back, we're going to get into looking at the markets and prices. So let's do this. While we're talking about markets, if you have market related questions, let's have those kinds of questions. Terrence, what's up? Now, another thing that I will add is that we're going to be looking at portfolio because a lot of people are still like, portfolio, I don't know what my portfolio should look like. Just remember, you don't want to copy my portfolio, but these are the assets that I think are safe to own. You might find other stuff. I even have some of my private clients that I talk to like 3 times a week, and they buy their own stuff and do their own thing. I mean, at a certain point, you got to go with your gut, right? Sometimes those things work out. Sometimes they do not. Let's see. Yes, this one is, Larry, the reason we're doing this is because as part of the new kind of structure at Money Morning, they're reducing a lot of the excess. They're trying to clean it up. They're trying to put producers, and since I can do the show on my own, it makes more sense to run it through here. We'll see. All right. Is LedgerX under new name? It's FTX owns it. It's still LedgerX, but FTX owns it. I think they may even call it FTX derivatives. D Miles in the house. Jim. Howard. What up, Howard? All right. So let's do this. We'll go to our little non-commercial break. And I have a friend who's a graphic artist. She works for Paramount. She's going to do us a little opening cool thingy. We'll get there. We'll get there. All right. We will be right back in like 30 seconds, and then we'll go into markets and we'll have some fun. And then we're going to look at portfolios so that everybody has a starting point. And then we'll get into the weeds. We'll even look at the options market and see what the play is right now, this second. All right. All right, let's do it. Okay, looking at Bitcoin, what was interesting over the weekend? Well, let's get back up to the Bitcoin. What's the total market cap? We had a pretty powerful Saturday. We had Bitcoin kissing just at 25, which is pretty awesome. It touched, it bounced down. We're wobbling. We're going to keep wobbling, and we're not going to be out of the wobbling woods. The wobbling woods. Maybe that's our thing. We're not going to be out of the wobbling woods until we get an MT-GOX settlement, or at least until we know what that settlement is going to look like. And we don't know what that settlement is going to look like. Not yet. There's no quick way. There's just no quick way through this. And, you could see Bitcoin melt back up to 30K, to 35, to 40. But when that settlement comes, and then there's a couple ways that could be played. My guess is, so here's the total of the settlement. For those of you that don't know, there was MT-GOX. That's Magic the Gathering Online Exchange. Way back in the day, they thought that'd be a great place to list Bitcoin. In 2014, they got hacked. Part of that, they didn't get hacked. It was an internal job, and most likely, Mark Karpellis, the guy who's the CEO at that time, who had the whole exchange on his laptop, somehow got hacked. But when the Japanese authorities, because he lived in Japan, locked him up, because it seemed a little scammy, and he got death threats on his life and all this, he suddenly found 200,000 of the 850,000 missing Bitcoin. He just found them. Good luck to us, right? So he found those coins. Now, in the process of them doing what they call a civil rehabilitation, they take the coins that are left, they get an executor, and they go through this process of trying to figure out who owned what at the time of the hack and this and that and all that. Now, Bitcoin was a lot cheaper then. As you know, go look at the price of Bitcoin in 2014. It was not 24,000. So you have a lot of people that, even though they're only getting back maybe a quarter, 25% of their Bitcoin, it's 10, 20, 40 times higher than what they paid. So you have a lot of people that are rich. Of the 150 or so thousand Bitcoin that are remaining, that are coming back, it looks like about 15%. So early on, companies were coming in and making deals with creditors, people that had lost tokens, saying, hey, listen, I'll pay you 90% of the price of Bitcoin right now if you sign an agreement that we get your Bitcoin. A lot of people said yes. That happened. So why is that interesting? Well, it's interesting because it still leaves this overhang. So you're going to hear this. People are going to say, listen, we are going to dump 150,000 Bitcoin are going to be distributed. But most of that, about 90%, is spoken for. Some will be converted to cash, some won't. But it's very interesting. And so of that, I posit that about 15,000 Bitcoin are likely to hit the market. Can this market absorb 15,000 Bitcoin? No. They couldn't absorb 500 Bitcoin a few weeks ago. That's what dumped the price from like 22 to 17K. So what do I think is going to happen? I think a bunch of funds like BlackRock and these other big facilities, management facilities, are going to come in and they're going to scoop up. They've got to be waiting. I mean, they can't be so stupid that they don't think this is a big deal. And my guess is they probably have a little bit of an inside track. They probably know what's going on more than we do. So that being said, my guess is they're going to come in and hoover up as much coin as they can that day. I don't know what that's going to look like, but most of the pricing in of this will happen when they finally announce when they're going to distribute the tokens. For instance, are they going to give everyone all their tokens all at once? We don't know. Are they going to give them in bits and pieces? I don't know. For instance, they might say, we're going to fund everyone's account 20% a month for 5 months, or whatever. They don't want to destroy the market. They also don't want to favor anybody over anyone else. So they can't give it to Bob and not Susie and not Alice. Does that make sense? So whatever the distribution mechanics are, we will then game that. We as in us here. We will go game the mechanics of that. But until then, we don't know what the Bitcoin space is going to look like. We just don't know. So, okay, that's where we are with Bitcoin. So who cares? Right now, what happens is, I think you just want to make sure, like especially options wise, if you're selling, make sure you're selling, if you're selling puts, right? Selling against your cash. Make sure you're selling at a price where you'd be comfortable getting put into Bitcoin with the understanding that Bitcoin could get knocked all the way down to 15, 10, 12K, 10K. I mean, it could. Will it? Probably not. But could it? Sure. These, crazier things have happened. I remember there was a time last year in 2021. Remember, 2021, Bitcoin got as high as 69,000. There was a few days in there where Bitcoin was at 3,800. You think, gosh, now you go 3,800 from the high. The high at that time had been, leading into that. Wait, let me think. No, this was 2020. Because 2021, there was some massive carnage, but it wasn't that kind of carnage. That was 2020 carnage. So the 2020 carnage got down to 3,800. The 2021 carnage probably only saw the low 30s, but a high. So getting cut in half is not impossible. So let's just say that. So if you see the price right now, is it impossible for them to get cut in half? No. So is 12,000 possible? Yes. Do I think it's going to happen? No. But I think 15K could happen. So you have to be comfortable buying Bitcoin if you're buying Bitcoin, or selling puts at a price where you get put into Bitcoin at these prices. Cool? Now we are all up to speed on MT Gox. All right. Bill asks, is there a maximum that you would trade on Ledger X based on liquidity? It looks like there are not many orders for more than 400 contracts. Well, what I might do is I might sell in a variety of strikes. So I would, you put the orders out there and you get filled or you don't get filled. And as more people come to the exchange, there's more liquidity. Does that make sense? Another thing you can do, if your account gets big enough, you may want to reach out to me privately. If your account gets big enough, I think over, let's see, 500,000 to 1 million, you can do block trading, which means you deal directly with market makers. Other people that are doing block trades, big trades, right? So if you say 10 Bitcoin or 50 Bitcoin or something like that. I don't imagine anyone here is doing, trades of 10 to 50 Bitcoin. But if you are, reach out and I can help you reach out to them and set up it's almost an institutional account, but not quite. Anyway, but if, I have like a client that parked $1 million on there and they sell out of the money puts on $1 million, we get block trades because $1 million, right? So there you go. Okay. Remember when $1 million used to be a lot? Not these days. Anyway, it is what it is. Okay. Hello. Okay. 1K. Yes, we got to get to 1K. We have 586, I was told as of today. 586 of us heavyweights. Rawr. All right. And happy Monday. Yes. Crypto for life. Okay, cool. So let's do this. Let's keep going. So Bitcoin price action. We don't care. Just stay vigilant. And the second I hear whatever the MT Gox distribution is, we're going to be building a game plan around that. That's why you're heavyweight. You won't be left in the dark. And you guys realize too, that if something happens on an off hour, I can just spin up a stream and push it out to you guys. We don't have to wait for some specific moment. And don't worry about $1 million or this or that. Don't worry about a dollar amount. Just worry about growing your portfolio in a safe way. And I think you'll be able to do just fine. Because what starts as a little, if you grow the percentages, it gets really big really quick. Compounded interest. That's how we're going to get wealthy, is through compounded interest. All right. Ethereum, what's going on with Ethereum? Well, we touched 2,000. Matter of fact, we were 2,000 for a moment yesterday. We are right now still up 51% on the month. Okay, so let's talk this out a little bit. What's happening September 15th and 16th? That is the tentative date for the merge. The merge shifts the network from the Ethereum network from proof of work to proof of stake. Why does that change? It changes some other things too. There's some other upgrades, but there's 5 upgrades along the path. It's like merge, surge, purge, verge, splurge. You think I'm kidding. Those are all actually these upgrades. The merge is the first of the upgrades. There's 5 of these. It's going to be a year or 2 before they're completely rolled out. But this is the first of those, the big one, and it goes to proof of stake. Now, what does that change? It doesn't change a whole lot. However, people don't know that it doesn't change a whole lot. They think it does change a whole lot. A lot of people think this is Ethereum too. So what could happen at the merge? Well, it looks like there's going to be a forked Ethereum token. Is that token going to do well? Probably not. It's probably going to S the bed pretty quickly. But if you own Ethereum, you'll get the forked token one way or another. Now, it gets a little dicey, when the exchanges give you the token and how that all works. I've been very fortunate. Kraken is very good about giving you the forked tokens. Coinbase is probably going to be good about it. Many of the exchanges, they'll just credit your account with the new token. Now, if you have a MetaMask account, take a little bit extra time. If you have your Ethereum on MetaMask, which is dangerous. Remember, MetaMask is not a place to hold stuff permanently. You just have to be very careful because everybody's out to steal from you all the time. That being said, ideally, private wallets are great, but you can't necessarily stake through Ledger with all the protocols. Long story short, MetaMask is fine if you never, ever give your private keys to anyone. Don't copy them and save them on your computer. Don't save them on an electric device. You need to write down your passphrases, write them down and check them. Make sure it's correct. Make sure the spelling is correct. If you get it wrong, you lose your stuff. You don't lose your stuff. All right. Now, what could happen to Ethereum on the 15th and the 16th? Let's say the merge gets kicked down the road. Ethereum will sell off. Okay. Makes no difference. Maybe we buy some puts and cover the downside with insurance. Okay. What could also happen? Well, everything goes fine. The merge goes well and they fork the token. So now there's Ethereum, and then there's this Ethereum proof of work token, which we might call Ethereum W. Okay, so what happens then? Well, that's a whole other, what I do, I probably sell the free token, whatever the proof of work token is. I'd probably sell it almost instantly. And then those miners are going to go, where's the most profitable? It doesn't seem like there'll be much development on the proof of work chain to Ethereum. And should you shift your ETH2 to ETH? Linda, I'm not sure. Depending on where you have Ethereum 2, you can't shift it. Now, if it's a proxy token, because there is no Ethereum 2 just yet, if you staked your tokens, so this is a good question. If you staked your tokens, now, Coinbase has something, I think, like a proxy token type thing, but if you staked your tokens, like the Kraken or stuff, if they're staked, they're staked. You don't get them back until Ethereum 2 launches. No one knows when that is or if that is. So that's tricky. Now, if it's on Coinbase, it's just probably a proxy token. Yeah, so you can probably just shift it to Ethereum. I would probably have good old regular Ethereum going into the merge. And again, this is September 15th and 16th, and we're going to obviously do a lot of planning prior to that. And we'll have a whole game plan around it. As far as what to do with the tokens, to sell them, to keep them, to this, to that. Got it. So yeah, you'll be fine. But I would be keeping that in your mind. That's coming. It's a thing that's on the horizon. Okay. So yeah. And then obviously there's going to be a little bit of a letdown when people realize, well, wait a minute. There's Ethereum 2 is not here yet. People are like, yeah, that's not going to be for a long time. They're like, okay. So that's something, that's another road we'll cross. Cardano, the Vassal hard fork. Let me go back. The Vassal hard fork is coming. Apparently everything is clean and elegant. They've been running it on the test net. They started over. They ran it again. So they've been making sure they don't roll out bad code. I heard Charles talk yesterday about it. He seemed pretty excited about it. They think they have the version of Vassal that's going to launch. Looks like it's going to launch. Great, good, sweet, awesome, dope. And so here we are. And you should, yes, Brian, you should not worry about the Ethereum merge. Worst case scenario, you hold Ethereum, it sells off a little bit, it makes its way back up, you get a fake token, or you get another token, we sell the other token, you put it in, you just pocket that as like some little dividend, 5% dividend. I think the token is trading at $80 right now on some futures markets because they have a futures for the proof of work token fork thingy. So yeah. And why does Cardano get a bad rap? Cardano doesn't get a bad rap. There's a lot of people don't like Cardano, partially because Charles Hoskinson, when he and Gavin Wood left Ethereum, it was tough on Ethereum, not on the price, but you took 2/3 of the brain power out of Ethereum. A lot of people were not so happy. And it looks like, Charles went about building a proof of stake asset, a crypto asset infrastructure layer 1, a little bit different than Ethereum. Like he looked back and he said, man, if we were to do this correctly, what would it look like? If we were to start over, knowing what we know now, what would it look like? And this is what Cardano looks like. And then you have a different version of that, which is Gavin Wood's version of what, a layer 1 would look like. And that's Polkadot. And which, by the way, they pushed out an upgrade. It wasn't them. One of their DeFi aggregators pushed out some upgrade in their stable coin, not Polkadot stable coin, but it runs on Polkadot. There's some stable coin just got nuked for like all the value. It depegged. It's basically dust. So it got hacked into oblivion. Anyway, that's not a DOT problem. That actually has nothing to do with DOT. It has to do with a layer 2, an exchange built atop Polkadot. But, crypto's not easy. And, that's why the team becomes so incredibly, incredibly important. All right. So what could you expect when they implement the hard fork on Cardano, the Vassal hard fork, which, by the way, the cool thing about hard forks on Cardano is they're backwards compatible, meaning you don't have to do nothing. Everything's fine. Nothing, as far as nothing changes. It's just they have to get all the exchanges on board and they have to get all the wallets on board and all that kind of stuff. So that's really just back end kind of administrative work more than anything else. But interesting nonetheless. So that's where we're at there. My guess is price-wise, this thing, it gets a bump. I'm guessing that they're basically keeping quiet so that it doesn't get caught up and like buried under the headline of the Ethereum merge, because that's all anyone can talk about is the Ethereum merge and how, Ethereum's going to be deflationary. It's going to be a store of value and all that. And that's mostly nonsense. Ethereum is not a store of value. Ethereum is a thing that you burn to do transactions. It is a fuel for internet computing, not much more. And it just happens to be where a lot of the early. I mean, a lot of the early spammy ICOs were there. A lot of the early everything was on Ethereum because there was only really Ethereum. You couldn't launch, except what are you going to launch something on Tron? Well, that's a junky project by a junky CEO, Justin Sun, who, by the way, is on the run from the authorities and can't be in the United States. There's just a bunch of creeps. So anyway, to reduce that, it's going to be very interesting to see how Cardano rolls out after the Vassal hard fork as they scale up. Very interesting. Okay, Polkadot, as we know, it's interesting. It's probably getting beat up a little bit because of the news, somewhat related to the incident. But it has very little to do with Polkadot. But you see the word Polkadot platform XYZ gets hacked for 1.3 billion tokens or something like that. And you're like, the end is near, but the end is not so much near for Polkadot. I just don't know. Polkadot's always intrigued me. They don't feel like they'd have to do any communication. They're kind of like Algorand. So you're just like, gosh, I hope the teams over there are competent. I worry that maybe they're a little bit too rich for their own good. And maybe they just look at this whole thing and say, I wonder if we can meaningfully compete. I don't know. It's hard to, how would you guys feel if you woke up with, you were 100 millionaire or a 300 millionaire or a billionaire? I don't know how much give a crap I'd have left in the tank, if we're being honest. Sheeb is just a dummy coin, but we do watch it to see what dummies are doing. And the Mimi dummies, some of them came back into the market. Most of them will get nuked back out of it. Avalanche is an I don't know. I don't currently own it. I just don't know. I don't know. It was another one of these VC pumped token projects, and the price got really high and then it's come back down. I mean, it's still up on the year, but I just don't know if I'm excited about it. So yeah, there you go. Okay, Matic, I am excited about. They keep signing partnerships. They keep signing deals. It's the layer 2 that's looking a lot more like a layer 1. I am very bullish. However, since we still think this MT Gox thing is going to probably bring the whole market down with it, I think the play on Matic is if you're up 100%, many of you are up more than that, but if you're up 100% from the bottom, from where you got in, or at least those tokens that are up 100%. Let's say you've been dollar cost averaging, right? Well, there you go, right? And so I would just, I'd probably sell the portion of tokens I had that were at 100% profit, and I would pull that money and I would leave it in USDC stablecoin on the sidelines waiting. And if it retraces, I would go snatch it. And if not, you got a 2-for-1, you're on the house's money and you're happy. Okay, great. Let's see. That's cool. Dynasets are open to withdraw. Yeah, I'm pretty close to the team at Singularity DAO. I know Marcelo quite well. We talk a lot. We chat a lot. Seems like a good team. That's the AGI team. Okay. Ethereum Classic, we don't care, except that a lot of people, it looks like the assumption was that a bunch of people would go mine Ethereum Classic. That's unlikely. There's no development going on in Ethereum Classic, and the community, the Ethereum Classic community is pretty weak, morally very weak, game theoretically incredibly weak. They're just weak. Stay away from Classic. Near looks good, and it's sold off. It was up at $6 Friday. It's down. Well, not down much. I mean, many of you got it at $3, but there's another token. Near is a layer 1. Near is on the roadmap. Near will be released on Coinbase. Once it's available on Coinbase, you probably have that first day pump. I mean, like the first hour pump. And we probably see, I mean, if it was today, you'd see Near go to $6.50, $7, and probably settle right back down where it started. Is there a play there to sell it against the opening excitement? So the way to do it, if you were going to do it, and I won't be doing it because I don't want to do all the tax harvesting crap and all that kind of stuff. But if I was going to do it, I would look at the price of Near on the day it's due to open on Coinbase when they make the announcement of which day. and I would just set a price like $2 higher, right? And so I would set a price like, let's say it was today. And they said, okay, Near is going to list on Coinbase. I would say, well, I'm going to set a price for $7.53. If it gets filled, great. Knowing that even if it does get filled, it's probably going to settle back down. But also remember, this is a quality layer one. This is a quality Ethereum competitor. And this is a project that was over, it was 20, right at $20 less than a year ago. So keep that in mind. It's $20. So do you want to get $2 and miss out on another 300%? This is a quality core asset, as we'll see in a second, when we look at portfolio construction. It's a quality core asset. Now, this is a good question. Cruising asks, do you feel Near will also fall back with the MT Gox event? I think everything will fall back with the MT Gox event because everything trades together, as does. Right now, Bitcoin is kind of correlated to everything. It just is what it is. Fine. At some point, some asset, whether it's a combination of Ethereum, and I think many of the layer ones will surpass the total market cap of Bitcoin. I know the maxis are like, no way, man, bruh. But it's like, there's 21 million total Bitcoin. There will be, there's not, as they get unearthed, 21 million is the cap on Bitcoin. But there's 100+ million Ethereum. Okay. So that's already a 5x. So if it got more than a fifth of the market, more than a fifth of a similar distribution, right? Like a fifth of the price would mean they were parity market cap, right? And then you say, okay, if it got better than a fifth, right? Like a quarter, then it would surpass in market cap. Now, market cap arguments are stupid anyway, but there's some people that just look at market cap. Well, Cardano has billions, eventually 45 billion, right now in the 30s. So you go, well, that's a multiple. That's like not exponential, but it's a much higher token count. So it would take much less for Cardano, like as it is now. Cardano has a $19 billion, let's call it $20 billion market cap. Okay, so at a 23x, at 23, which would be what, $12, $13, at $13, then you have, Cardano would be the number one token on planet human. So, but again, that's based on market cap. It's still going to go back to use, utility, and adoption. And right now, Cosmos is getting all the deals. Matic is getting all the deals. Cosmos is more DeFi. Near, very exciting. I don't want to sell it. Flow, NFT exposure, layer one NFT exposure, still way down on the year. I was buying this thing at like $34, $33. So I'm still adding. I'm actually adding Flow because this is just very inexpensive. Cosmos, still inexpensive, down a quarter on the year. It's a competent layer one. Algorand, important layer one. Silvio McCauley, great. His team, they just basically fired their CEO. Why? Because he sucks and there's no communication. They need to fire their entire marketing team, which is funny because I know someone on their marketing team and the guy is kind of an arrogant D-bag. Like, we shouldn't have to tell. Well, then he basically told me we shouldn't have to tell people what we're doing. Well, then why do they have anybody working in marketing? If you shouldn't have to market, then it seems like your job is redundant. That kind of thinking is probably going to be a reason why they don't succeed to the extent that they probably could have. So do I think Algorand is going to be competing with Cardano or any of these other layer ones? Well, in their own way, many of these layer ones are focused on a niche. Algorand's niche is probably launching central bank-backed assets, stable coins for banks, stable coins for central banks. And if that's all they do, they had claimed to have, 13, 14 of these big deals coming. Who knows? We'll see. Remember, owning these tokens is not owning equity. You don't own equity. So keep that in mind. This isn't equity in these projects. This is just the only way we can get exposure. And you hope that if there's more use and utility and adoption, that the underlying token would go up in value, even though other companies are launching other assets against. Like if someone launches a token on Cardano and they have smart contracts, they have all this cool functionality, that in and of itself doesn't make the token rise in value. But if you have to pay fees in ADA, or if you're running transactions that collect fees, or yada, 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 then you could see some use in utility and adoption. And with scaling, as that scales upward, that would create a demand for the token. People might start banking the token. You have some kind of hoarding effects, things like that kick in. But all of this it's all value propositions are greater fool, right? You're buying something, you think it's worth more to somebody else at some point in the future, you intend to sell them that, right? And the people that say, I'm never selling. Well, if you're never selling, you're never going to realize gain. Now, you might say, I'm not going to sell the underlying asset. I'm going to borrow against it. That's a form of selling, right? Let's be honest. But that might be your way to exit. Okay. So anyway, going down the list, Filecoin, distributed data, it's important and it's cheap. Oh, sorry, I'm not going to say cheap. I think it's undervalued. It's been floating around $8, got up to about 11. When we get past the MTGOX settlement, all of these things are going to rocket. It may coincidentally be right around the same time as a Bitcoin ETF. It may a spot delivered ETF. It may also be right around the time that the Federal Reserve has pivoted on their nonsensical interest rate that no one really cares about. It's the funniest thing. These people that hang on the Fed, I wonder what the Fed's going to do. It doesn't matter what the Fed does. They are backwards looking and they don't deal money. They have a basically a mostly useless interest rate that's only accessible to a few banking institutions. And they have a bunch of inert assets called bank reserves that do nothing. All they do is gum up a balance sheet and suck. They basically strip mine collateral from banks and trade. And they basically make you participate, and they trade you bank reserves, which is a coupon. You can't, it's no different than my little pad right here. You can't spend bank reserves. You can't they're inert assets. So what do those banks do? Then they have to go into repo and try to get a hold of quality collateral, which is treasuries on the run if they can. The Fed is not a money dealer. They've never been a money dealer. They don't understand money, and they've admitted it. So people that hang on the Fed, I always get a giggle. But on the other side of that, you have to remember that investing is a beauty pageant. It's not who the prettiest contestant is. It's who you think everybody else will think, or at least vote on as the prettiest. Because remember, you can have dishonest majority and all this kind of stuff. You are guessing who you think they will pick, and then you're front running those investments. Investing is a beauty pageant. Do you want to be right or do you want to be rich? Okay. Can you show how to borrow against our assets? Yeah, but not right now. We're not there yet. An easy way to do it would be get on Nexo, where you can directly borrow right against. I'm not telling you to do it, but I'm saying you could do it on Nexo. You can park some assets there and borrow against it. And there's a couple of other platforms that do it, but none that I trust. Okay. All right. AR Weave, distributed data, distributed storage. I kind of put AR Weave in my mind in that same bucket with Filecoin. You need exposure to the space. You probably, it's not a protocol. It would be in the lottery bucket, but I believe that there's value there. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. People believe in their perceptions. Perceptions are enough reality for people to behave as such. Nexo, for those of you that have been listening, the Nexo token got down to 57 cents. And I had said, and I actually bought more, but I had said, in a down market, the Nexo token is going to get punished because it's liquid. It's like having a liquid asset that you can sell off in times of chaos. However, when the markets are starting to build again and you're using Nexo, having the Nexo token gets you paid a higher reward rate, and it lowers your borrowing rates. So for many reasons, the Nexo token is dope. And it's like a litmus on the health of Nexo. I think Nexo ends up being one of the last ones standing. Therefore, I own Nexo. Is it a lottery ticket? This is a kind of weird utility token specifically for those that use Nexo. Now, I will say this. It was like $3 not very long ago. Not very long ago. So in an up market, this token performs very well, and I expect it to be back to the $2 to $4 level. Okay. How can you acquire Nexo when you live in the US? You can swap for it. You can swap for it on MetaMask. It is an Ethereum-based token. So you can swap for it. So what you do is, if you have a Nexo account, but you can't buy the Nexo token, you put some ETH, or you put some USDC or something else over on MetaMask, and you swap right through MetaMask. All right. Ravencoin. Why do we care about Ravencoin? Well, we don't like animals and food products, but in this case, Ravencoin, Flux, and ERG are the three tokens. It is at this point most likely that Ethereum miners would go and mine, because it's all game theoretical. You go where you can make the most money. That being said, these things are up recently. Flux is almost a double. ERG is you made almost 100% on these, even with the sell-off over the last day, which hasn't been much. Look, well, Flux came down. Flux was over $1. It was like $1.20. No, $1.15. But you're still way up. So these are tokens I think you hold. They're lottery tickets. And I think we wait and see what happens going into the merge, when proof of work, when those people that are running those machines switch and they go, oh, now I'm going to be mining these other tokens. There's a lot of smart mining going on where it just reallocates your mining resources, and you don't do it. It just happens for you. If you go to Pro Hashing or Nice Hash, it's automated. You just basically focus your mining power, your hashing power at them. They reallocate it and you smart mine. That being said, those three tokens look like they are the most likely to be smart mined. And if you have been pulling the trigger when we intimated to do so, you're up almost 100% on those. Now, would I sell them off now and take some profit? They're lottery tickets. On lottery tickets, if you get 100%, clean them off. Now, I think these perform better after the merge. And we may not know. It may take a month or two. But on any of these lottery tickets, on any lottery ticket, if you get 100%, take your original investment off the table, put it back in stablecoin, and let's take that courageous wait and see approach. Okay, I hope that answered those. What do I think of Exodus? No. I don't like these wallets. I think they will Exodus with your tokens. There. That's what I think. Howard says, question, how should we play the Dynasets? Withdrawals are open. Should I take my gains? Well, do you think you will manage those tokens better on your own? I'll be honest. If, Dynasets, going into this, I think if you have your tokens in Dynasets, I don't think you'd end up with the fork tokens. I don't know what they're going to do, but I think if they're managing it, I'm not sure, depending on if they're in or out. Like if they sell Ethereum because they've been told to sell Ethereum, which they probably would do right before the merge, then you wouldn't get the fork token. The fork token could be 4 or 5%. That's 4 or 5%. But then you look and say, okay, if I don't get the fork token, which is only going to be 4 or 5%, but yet I'm getting 20%, 25% by staying in Dynasets, that's math you have to do. So you have to say, is it worth it to stay in Dynasets? It looks like you made what, 20, 30% by being in Dynasets, but you were in for what, a quarter? See, so it might make more sense to stay inside, get that guaranteed 30, 40%, 20 to 30%. That's math you're going to have to do. I'm not currently going to do that just yet. So that's just me. Bam. Okay. Boa, I'm in the UK. Ledger's not available. Well, you have Deribit, but Deribit, here's why I don't like Deribit. I've seen them pull shenanigans, and when you set up an account, everything's priced in Bitcoin, not priced in dollars or not even in euro. So you're doing all these deals in Bitcoin terms. So when you sell, you deposit Bitcoin, and even if you're selling puts, they take Bitcoin, which is the opposite. We're trying to end up in Bitcoin, not have Bitcoin sapped from us. So, oh, and also all the accounts are margin accounts. And if you understand how margin accounts work, it's not your money. If you open a margin account, they can use your margin funds for anything they want. And I do not like that. Not at all. So yeah, let me see. It told me you were blocked. Let's see, BitKitty. I tried to look you up on Twitter. Oh, that's weird. I haven't always been managing my Twitter account, so I may need to go back. And I don't know why. I haven't blocked anybody. I don't even have any reason to block anybody, but I haven't always managed that account. I had someone on Fiverr. Okay. I had hired someone on Fiverr to manage my Twitter account. And I think they were not here. They were very likely they were in India. And very likely I may need to go and wrest control of that account. I can post to it. But I don't know why I would have. Well, I wouldn't have, but I don't know why it would on anybody's account blocked it. So I will talk to my Fiverr dude. On the good side of it, I pay him like $150 a month, and they do like everything else. So all I do is kind of post cool stuff. How do you get into Dynasets? You would deposit either Bitcoin, Ethereum, or a combination of other assets into those Dynasets during the open enrollment period, which I believe may be now. That would be go to Singularity DAO for that. Yeah. Can't access FTX derivatives or Ledger X from Canada. Yeah, Canada might not allow you to do it. I don't know what derivatives. I mean, you probably could do Deribit, Remy. And look, I don't want all of you guys thinking that you're getting left behind if you're not participating in the option space. That's one tiny little edge space of what you're going to make. You're going to make a lot more by having a very clean, crisp portfolio than you will doing option trades. Are going to make you on that chunk of money 20 to 30% a year, which is good, but you're not going to get rich. Well, you would if you had years and years and years, but 20 to 30 to 60% a year sounds awesome, but not when you can do, 3, 4, 500% on a lot of these other assets, or 1,000%, right? So there. Where do you post option trades? And we're still paper trading. And I'm not posting the trades. All I'm doing, because we're in paper trading mode, is telling you guys what I would be doing, which contracts. Like if we look right now, this is portfolio. We're going to look at that in a second. It's going to want me to log in. Okay, we'll do that Wednesday. The contract I would look at right now, you know what? Let me see. The only reason I'm saying to do this, and we're going to look at portfolio here in a second, and that's why that's up on the screen. Let me get that gone. Bam. The only options contract I would be looking at now, I'd still be looking at the 22 range. I'm uncomfortable. It's making me log back into everything. Give me 2 seconds. I mean, I guess it's good. It pushes you out. It unlogs you on a regular basis. Okay. Do it later. I do not link my accounts. Go to options, Bitcoin. Let's go to the puts. The 22 is pretty cheap. The 23 is at $1.89. Man, we just have to see what's going on with this MTGOX settlement. I am averse. I'm comfortable paying, say, 22, 23. So I would sell against the 22 or the 23. Probably the 23. It's at $1.89 right now. $189 per Bitcoin. That's not much. I would not sell anything. I would wait and I would let this market cool off. If it cools off this week, all of those puts are going to expand in value, and you can probably wait a day or two. We could probably wait tomorrow, even Wednesday, and sell some that expire within a few days and grab a few bucks. Normally, I like to be doing my selling Friday afternoon, Saturday, early Sunday. But again, if the price rockets back and forth, and that news is coming, we just don't know when. We also know that there's macro stuff that right now is overall more interesting to everybody else, apparently, than the building and the space and all that kind of cool stuff that's going on. So just keep that in mind. Okay. What is this? This $100 portfolio, okay, it's the 100 portfolio index of infrastructure, but this, what you're looking at would be a $200 total portfolio. And that's, hold on, get back here. Get over here, 10%. Okay. So here's what we're looking at. If you look at, let's say you had $200 invested in the market. Okay. I recommend that half of that is in infrastructure, and infrastructure is layer one. Therefore, Cardano, Matic, Algorand, Near, Cosmos, Ethereum, Polkadot, and anything else you consider infrastructure. Avalanche, sure. Might you say that you want some NFT infrastructure? Sure. That would be Flow. Anyway, that would all be in that bucket of infrastructure. Now, I have it set up this way because that's where my brain was a few months ago when we did this. If I was looking at it now, I would probably bump Ethereum up, make it a 15%er. I would probably make Algorand a 10%er. Near would stay the same. Yeah, but that would be, and so in that portfolio, that means 100 of we have 200 total dollars in the portfolio, right? And in that portfolio of the 200 total dollars, we have in Cardano, we have $25 because of the $200 total, $100, which is 50%, is all in infrastructure. Okay, so ADA, in my mind, represents 25% of my infrastructure, or 12.5% of the total portfolio. Does that make sense? You see where we're going here? So when you look at this, I don't want it to be misleading. I guess, you know what? I can make it less misleading. Let's make it nice and easy. Let's go the $200 portfolio, and let's just make infrastructure that first little part of it. How about that? Can you make this smaller? Yes, can make more space. That's why this thing is so cool. Look at me making this space, which will make it a little bit easier for you guys to read. Yay, look at this. This is what you get in real time, man. You get VFX in real time. Okay, so what are we looking at? Now it's a $200 portfolio. Now it's starting to make more sense. So of the $200, we have to do a little math. This would now, the percentages have to go down. The dollar amount stays the same. This is going to be 12.5. See where we're going with this? This is going to be 7.5 of the total. You're seeing where this is going, right? Because if it was, it's of the total portfolio, if it was $25, that's 12.5% of the $200. Right, we get this. Okay, cool. So all these numbers get cut in half, and those would be allocations in the portfolio. You say, man, these are big allocations. And actually, we were going to change that. Algorand is going to go down to $10, which is going to be a 5% allocation. Because we don't have as much faith in Algorand as maybe we did, because they don't seem to be, they did change, they had a shakeup in their upper echelon. I think we go with Ethereum. We probably make this 7.5, and we probably go to $15 with Ethereum. Now, is this going to be the same for you? No, this is just the way I look at it. Bitcoin, where it says $50 to $60, that's going to be 25 to 30% of the entire portfolio, right? 25% would be $50 of the 200, 30 would be $60 of the 200. That's it. That's all. No mas. And of that, probably a third of it I don't touch, and about 2/3 of it I'm playing in the options game. About a third on the call side, a third on the put side. But you know, it's going back and forth all the time. Okay. And then really quickly, can you give a sample example of transactions you would to rebalance portfolio? Are you swapping ADA for algo? Okay. What if ADA is at a loss? No, I'm rebalancing with new money or high flyers. So let's say that Ethereum were up 100% from our invested price, whatever your dollar cost average price is. Let's say we bought Ethereum at $1,000 and now it's at 2,000. Say, okay, let's go into the merge. Let's see if we can get to 2,500, whatever. We're going to skim some of the profit. We don't want to take all of it because we don't want to cut into the juice. But let's say we did 250%. Maybe I take a fifth. I take 20% of that off the table. And I use that to redistribute into assets where when I look price-wise, if they haven't kept up with other assets, let's say the whole market's expanded 10%, but some of these just haven't. Like Algorand is not catching up. It's not expanding at the same rate as some of these other assets. So you might say, if I still like Algorand and its quality, I might add there and bolster that position. So it's new money to rebalance or lottery ticket wins, some rando token that you had that skyrocketed up, some smaller position that went a little bit too far, too fast. For instance, Matic is a great example. Matic went fast. It's up, it's up 150% from its lows, almost 200. Matter of fact, the low was 37 cents. It's almost up 300%, right? Because it was over $1. So you go, man, I'm really on the house's money there if I bought there at the bottom. Now, very few people bought at the bottom, but you might have bought at 45 cents. And therefore, at the 96 cents that it's at, you're over 100%. You might say, I'm going to take off my 100%. I'm going to take that house money back, and I'm going to redistribute that into assets that haven't quite moved as fast, like your Algorands, like your Cosmos, right? So rebalancing is new money or massive winnings in a shorter amount of time. A high flyer, something that's moved too far, too fast. Does that make sense? All right. Great. Cool. And then R7 asks, if we linked Ledger X with FTX, did that make our Ledger X a margin account? No, they don't do margin on derivatives exchanges. As far as I know, yet. Will they? They probably will. Now, the danger is if you linked those accounts, what does that equal? What does that actually mean? I don't know. I haven't linked those accounts. I will not be linking those accounts because I don't even have an FTX account. I just don't think FTX is a quality exchange. They bought FTX derivatives, but don't be confused. Ledger X is the same. They bought this. They have their name on the Staples Center, crypto.com, but crypto.com is not who's selling you hot dogs and hamburgers at the Staples Center. They don't. It's just a name. It's a flashing sign. Doesn't mean anything. Actually, it's less. That's a sponsorship. This FTX actually bought Ledger X to give them some auspices of legitimacy. And again, that's not Sam Bankman Fried Chicken. He's just a puppet. It's whoever actually runs where the money is behind FTX. It's certainly not him. That's all a show. That's all just a ridiculous farcical show. Yoroi. I'll tell you why I don't like Yoroi. I don't not like it. I just think that if the team at Cardano is putting all of their effort into Daedalus, I'd rather have Daedalus. Would you stake on Binance.us? You could, but Dale, if you can use Binance.us or you can use Kraken, I would use Kraken. I don't trust Binance.us because I don't trust anything Binance does. Also, another problem with Binance. Have you noticed that they've been shifting their staff very fast? Everybody that runs Binance runs it for like a day or 3 months, and then they just leave. Oh, we had a difference of opinion. We left. Everybody they hire, all the CEOs quit. That's a problem. I don't want to be anywhere near it. If you hold GBTC and ETH, would you exit? Man, I have no idea. I don't own either. I don't know what to tell you. There may be tax implications, Larry, so I'm not sure what to tell you on that. On that one, you need to find out what the tax hit would be. But would I rather own Bitcoin directly? Yes. Would I sell it at a loss? No. Is it a discount? Yes. Does that mean that when there's some rollover into, as they fold that into a spot ETF, but that could be next year, probably be next year. It's unlikely that it's this year. I don't see, based on what the SEC has been doing, I don't see them all of a sudden turning and saying, bending the knee and saying, yes, let's have that spot ETF. Okay. Typically stake closer to the protocol. Yes, get as close as you can. Get close. Stake as close to or at the protocol as you can. All right. So in this portfolio, our BTC allocation is 25 to 30%. That's the 50 to 60 bucks. And then we have our AI assets. And you'll notice if you do the math, if you go, well, 50 plus 30 plus 10 leaves 10%. Yes, you're going to have 10 to 15% that's going to be held in stablecoin and maybe 5% in some lottery tickets. But right now, I believe, this is just me personally, I believe the AI space is the biggest potential for really, really, really big, fat, giant, like disproportionately large gains. So there. In the Discord, I posted a link to the AGI conference, Singularity Net's doing a conference. It's in Seattle. It's in a few days. It's free. If you want to nerd out, click on the link, sign up, and just audit some of those, previews, some of those discussions. It's going to be pretty awesome. They've got some like gunslinger AI talent that's going to be talking. That being said, most of it will be very difficult to follow. So unless you are a super nerd, but if you are a super nerd, enjoy. I will be nerding right along with you. Okay. That being said, I think this covers kind of what we wanted to cover today. We're not going to, live in the options today because I don't think there's any good options plays to make right now. You're going to hold off. You don't have to do it every week. Let's see what Bitcoin does. If Bitcoin sells down, let me go back. If Bitcoin sells down, then we may have some good options plays on the put side, but it's kind of flat. Everything's kind of quiet. So we wait and see. We still have some big gains on the month. And I urge you to go through, Maker's got some other stuff going on. I don't own Maker, and they're looking at dumping. I think they were looking at dumping their USDC potentially, like their stable coin, like dumping all their stable. I don't know, man, that could be crazy. So here's what I would do. I want everyone to go through and I want you to come up with the balances on your portfolio, the percentages. Okay. Of 100 total percent, I have 1% here, 3% there, 7% there. I want you to do your own version of this. I want you to have done it before Wednesday. You're going to need this as we move forward. You live and die by the percentages. This is how we're going to get wealthy. Definitely how you're going to get rich. And then we can look at your portfolio and it will start to make more sense where the chinks in the armor, or when the market's doing well, you're like, why am I not catching up? Or why am I not expanding? Or why am I expanding disproportionately large? Inside, like if you just want to get started on your infrastructure, you don't need to weight these at all. You can weight them all the same. If you have 5 of them and they make up 50%, then each one will be a 10 down the list. Okay. Start clean, start elegant. And yes, in the digital heavyweights is where I posted the link to the AGI conference. So start very basic. Start with something you can monitor, something you can't edit, what you can't audit. Does that make sense? So we need to know what you've got. And once we know what you've got, then we can start messing with it and we can start, kind of nuancing it. But you got to start somewhere. Okay. This is a starting point. So whatever that starting point is for you, whatever you feel is where you need to be, I recommend, and we'll roll out with this, 50% in layer ones, 25 to 30% in Bitcoin. That leaves you about 15%. That 15%, I have 10% in AI exposure. And I'm actually upping that. And that is in a combination of AGIX, Fetch, NewNet, and Singularity DAO. I think one or several of those tokens could easily do 100x. You're not able to get into the digital heavyweight in Money Morning on Discord. But you are in the chat, right? So anybody that's having trouble getting into the Discord, reach out on the chat, in the digital heavyweights chat on Money Morning and talk to customer service and say, hey, what do I need to do? What button do I need to click? They will walk you through it. And how much time should we take to achieve the structure you were suggesting? Well, it should be from the beginning, but if you're taking an old portfolio and melting it into a new portfolio, new money will come in and that's how you'll balance. Don't chase front runners. Okay. Let's focus on balance. Let's spend the next week, month, quarter getting a balanced portfolio before this market takes off. We got time. We're not in an expansionary phase. We're still in a contraction. This is just a near-term sigh of relief. There's more down to be had. There's going to be more down days in the next, I would say, 3 months than up days. But we do have a couple of little areas to get excited about. And remember, Bitcoin is not everything. Where Bitcoin goes right now, so do most assets. But that's not forever, and I don't think that's for very long. I do think that one or many of the protocol layers is going to usurp the market cap of Bitcoin. And then I think it's a much better, healthier market. It makes a lot of the Bitcoin maxis reconsider why exactly do they own Bitcoin and why do they own as much as they own? And does it make sense to have, like 25 to 30% in Bitcoin is a lot for an asset that behaves like gold in the best circumstances and basically just like a kind of a weird kind of macro correlated asset. On the long term, Bitcoin's going to do very well, especially against inflationary behavior through debasement. Not prices go up, prices go down. You see price at the pump go up. I like how all the inflation people got real quiet. Inflation at the pump, and then the price went down $1 in like one day. Oh, is that deflation at the pump? No. It was never inflation. Prices go up and down in small markets. Not that oil is small, but if you look at the macro and you reduce it to the individual markets, prices can go up and down having nothing to do with debasement of the currency. Inflation is always and everywhere a monetary phenomenon. If you have non-monetary effects, sure, the price can go up, but the way that you deal with that is different. You don't go deal with a debasement problem if it's not debasement. You don't, and people say, well, that's a distinction without a difference. No, it's not. It is a distinction with a difference. It's a very important difference. Because worrying about the printing press being on, which it isn't, is different than worrying about supply chain dislocations and weirdnesses because of COVID. And as a general rule, it took about 18 months to get into the depths of the COVID craziness as far as supply chain. It's probably going to take about another 18 months. It's like an inchworm. Those dislocations have to work themselves out. It will get done, but it will take time unless we have another pandemic, and then all bets are off. But just remember, don't subscribe to the water cooler talk. Oh, inflation. People that keep saying inflation and they just mean prices are going up, those people are technical idiots because that is not what this is. Okay? Prices can go up and prices can go down, and that can have nothing to do with the monetary inputs to the system. So don't fall into the societally acceptable reasons to just be mad. Inflation. Okay, cool. If you can describe inflation, which most people can't. Just remember, always and everywhere, a monetary phenomenon. Bam. Okay, that being said, let's call it a day. Will I offer NFT suggestions? I will, but I'm not going to do it right now because I don't want you diverting your resources to NFTs right now. And Flow is an NFT. If you like the NFT space, Flow is a protocol in the NFT space. Cool. Okay. See, do I know which assets BlackRock is? No, we don't. And that would be very interesting. We know Bitcoin and we know layer ones. We just don't know which layer ones. But they're partnered with Coinbase, and Coinbase's layer one is near and it hasn't launched yet. Well, you tell me, what do you think? My gut says it might be included. We'll see. And all that being said, stay in school. Don't do drugs. Don't do anything my poor insolvent drunk strung it on meth grandmother wouldn't do. And if you liked today's show, put a little check. Remember, this is not a public show. It's just for you guys. You'll have the link. You can go to it at any time. Put a like on there. And if you didn't like it, go down once the show's over in the thing and say, hey, I would love to focus more on this, more on that. And that's a good way we can all communicate. You can also go into the Discord and we can talk. And you can also go into the Money Morning Live Heavyweights chat, which is a specific chat for us. Cool? So stay out of trouble. Stay in school. Don't do anything my poor and soft and drunk. Struggling on meth, grandmother wouldn't do. As you know, that's very little. And I will see you guys tomorrow for the freebie show, which is still a lot of fun. That should be with Brandon. All right. And I'm out.